episode of The Middle Child, where you are seen, you are appreciated, and you are loved here. I am your host, Arthur Royal Bowes, back again with another exciting episode. Honestly, might be one of my favorite episodes there is. For the simple fact of the person that I will be sharing this space with, I met her at a conference, and from then she has truly shown me what faith looks like. And then when she told me she was coming in town, y'all, I literally was scrambling, trying to figure out what I was gonna wear, what we were about to talk about, equipment that I needed to make this happen in so little time. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Arthur, motivational speaker, and my friend / sister, Kisonda Bell. How are you?
Hi, I'm wonderful. How are you?
Girl, I am so excited to have you
Me
here.
too. This is about to be fun.
Oh, it is.
It's gonna be good.
Like, it's like our phone conversations magnified. Like, now the world is about to see it.
Love
and
it.
experience it. So
Love it.
It is so good to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
In the wonderful state of Alabama.
Yes, baby, right next door.
Girl, right next door, literally. But I wanted to tell the people a little bit about how we met.
Yes.
Because I was explaining it to somebody the other day, and now that I'm kind of going through my healing journey, it's so miraculous, like how it happened. Like in the moment, I was just like, okay, cool, what a coincidence. But now it's just like, oh wow,
no coincidence,
man. Like that year, it was like I'm one of 3,000. And it was just like, so out of 3,000 people, it was just so interesting how we were literally like right there. Yeah. But I'll let you start it.
Okay. Okay. So, I was praying about where I was supposed to be going. God had given me this book. And he told me, you're moving to Birmingham. And I was like, what is in Birmingham? Who is in Birmingham? So I was like, God, you're going to have to let me know this is you. You're going to have to give me some signs that you're telling me to move. So I went to that conference by myself. What was I, 24? I think I was about 23, 24.
Really?
I drove like 6-8 hours by myself to this conference. Mm-hmm. I met you and our friend Shatara.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm just sitting there, and like you said, there's 3,000 people here.
Yeah.
So there's people from California, New York, Africa, everywhere.
Girl, everywhere.
So you're literally sitting in the seat directly behind me. Mm-hmm. And I turned around, I'm like, where y'all from? And he was like, Birmingham. I was like, okay. So, I got your information. And I didn't tell you anything about me other than I needed your information.
Yeah.
So I get to my room, I look you up, and I saw that you was an author. I said, okay, God, you answering prayers around here now.
Right.
So then I messaged you and I'm like, hey, I got this book. I don't know how to publish it. Could you help me out? And you was like, yeah, the girl that's here with me, she published my book and she specialized in publishing. Maybe that was October 2022. December 2022, I packed my stuff up and I was over here in Birmingham. And May of 2023, the book got published. So that was God.
Girl, I mean, really? It was just like, you was like, I need your information, like right now. I was just like, okay. You was like, God told me to move to Birmingham. And then I was just like, oh, wow. And even in that moment, I was just like, dang, like that's a coincidence. But it just really didn't register. Honestly, it didn't register to me until, like when I was telling my friend the other day, like even us, our friendship has been 2-3 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And it didn't hit me until the other day. And I'm just like, interesting. And I think it's because I'm going through a season of, I never understood the phrase trust God's timing.
Definitely.
Until I started trusting his timing.
Yeah.
Like even with, we was talking off air, the podcast. And I'm just like, this podcast was not supposed to come out until like the second part of the year. I wasn't supposed to start recording this until like sometime in July. But he put it on my heart to just like start recording. And so then when you was like, you coming in town, because I had you on the original guest list before I went in and, started moving some things around. Yeah. And I was like, man, she in a whole different state. She's not going to be here. So when you was like, you coming in town, I was like, oh, I got to order this. I got to order this. I got to order this. And so now that I'm in a season of trusting his timing, I think that's what made it really register for me. Because I'm just like, you prayed a prayer and to a certain extent, you trusted his timing. And so the answer was, the provision was there.
Definitely.
That's been my word for 2025, provision.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the provision was there. And so I was just like, oh, okay. all right, I get it. And so, yeah, that's why I kind of wanted to talk to the people about like how we met.
Yeah.
And even that situation, it makes me think of our topic for the day, which is, yeah, so I honestly could not decide on what part of change I wanted to talk about because change is such like a broad word.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when y'all go look up the episode, whatever I finally decided on is what's going to be the title. But I think when I text you, I was like the evolution of change. When you're called to a season of change.
Yeah.
But when you think about the word change, what comes to mind? Is there like a definition? Is there a situation? What comes to mind for you when you hear the word change?
Not really a definition, so to say, but more of something different. Like you can't keep doing the same thing. Yeah. You have to be something different. And kind of like what the word repent means. Like we say the word repent, but it actually just means to turn.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say I think change is. Just understanding where you are, understanding that you're not going to get where you need to be unless you change.
Yeah, definitely a change. And not a 360, guys, because a 360 only takes you back to where you started.
Where you at already. Yeah.
You'll be like, oh my God, they did a whole 360. That is not a compliment.
It's not good.
But doing a 180 when you have to, like you said, repent, when you turn away, to do something different, to try something different. And so again, that just resembles like our friendship. I feel like in every stage since I've known you, there has been like some level of change. So at the first conference, it was like you were changing literally your whole life and moving into a different state. At the second conference I met you at, I was going through a season of change, but I was trying to let people go. And I was at the conference and I was mad that I couldn't break. Like, how you in God's presence and you can't break? Like, I was just so furious. But I think the last night, we didn't do the concert that night. Or we went later. Yeah, we went later. But we
had to make you go.
A conversation.
Yeah.
We were having a conversation in the hotel. And so that was another example of change for me. Mm-hmm. So it's like our whole relationship, we have been literally walking through change together, and I think that's exciting.
It's beautiful,
girl.
Baby, it's hard. But it's beautiful.
Oh my goodness, hard.
It's beautiful.
It's not, especially when you're trying to change the right way.
Yes.
If I'm just trying to change and do like something totally different, cool. It's
some other wrong stuff,
right? Yeah. But when you're trying to change and do things the right way, I think it's extremely hard. Okay, so thinking of positive change, I see that you brought your books with you today.
Yes.
I'm so happy. I love when people bring their work of art, what they're leaving the people on earth. Mm-hmm. So tell me, were you going through a season of change when you created your book? Like, I know we were talking about when we met at the conference, you kind of already had the book together. Yeah. But when you actually started writing the book, were you going through a season of change, or how was that moment?
I feel like I was, but I didn't know it yet. Like, so the way it started was I had just came back off of a travel assignment, and I moved back in with my mom and my daddy because I decided that I was going to be traveling. So I wasn't going to be paying no rent and be traveling. So I moved back in with them, and my plan was to be going to Texas within like the next 2 weeks to make some more money. Mm-hmm. So the first thing that happened was I got sick with COVID. This is when it first comes out. You in the house for 14 days. Yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, when this is over, I'm going to Texas. As soon as that's over, it snows for a whole week. Nobody's going anywhere. So at this point, I'm like, God, what is it? Like, I'm not supposed to be going to Texas, obviously. So what are you trying to get to me? And that's when he gave me the book. He was like, I need you to sit down and listen. So I sat down, and the thing about COVID was, people was dying. They're still dying from COVID, sadly. Yeah. I was never sick. I was never running a temp. I never had any signs or symptoms. The only thing I wanted to do, the only thing I had the desire to do was to read and write. So that's how, what does God say came about?
Girl, I wish. Baby, when I caught COVID, I was, first of all, I'm not even going to go there because that's whatever. But when I caught COVID, I was just extremely drained. Mm-hmm. I was drained, but I still had my taste. I still had everything that everybody else had. Yeah. I think what it was I don't like feeling defeated. Mm-hmm. And so just to have to depend on somebody during that time, that's when I was just like, I'm drained. Yeah. But I found out I had COVID when I had got back off vacation. But if I'm being honest, I probably had it while I was on.
You probably
I
did.
just slept. I was just like, I'm tired. But that's so interesting, and it's interesting that the title came about. What does God say? Because during that moment, like you said, I said I was gonna travel.
Yeah.
And God was probably like,
my plans did not matter to him at all. He didn't care.
Right. He said, okay, you want to travel? Bet I'm finna shut the world down. Now you got
right. Can't go nowhere. I said, Lord, this is disrespectful.
Man. And then where were you when it snowed?
Mississippi.
Which is
it don't snow for no whole week in Mississippi.
So he like, yeah, you still trying to get up and move?
I had to apologize to people because I felt like that was my fault.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to do some stuff that wasn't his plan.
Yeah.
I had to apologize. I'm sorry.
It's so interesting how gracious he is.
Yeah.
Because it's like, all right, bed, shut the world down. You still trying to move. All right, snow. Okay, you got it.
I mean, and the fact that it's stuck for a whole week. Like, it does not stick down here like that.
It does not. It snowed and stuck. So now, your book, what does God say?
Because you have to sit down and listen.
Oh, you do.
To know what he's saying.
You do.
You can't be doing too much because you'll miss it.
Yeah.
It was good.
And it's so interesting that you say that because I went through a season where I said I felt like God had stopped talking to me. Mm-hmm. And it hit me, no, you're just moving too much. You have to sit still. Because one thing he's not going to do, God is a gentleman. Yeah. So he's not going to raise his voice.
Right.
He's not going to force you to listen.
Right.
He's going to keep talking. Mm-hmm. But
you can't hear him.
Yeah, you have to position yourself to hear him. It's just like, that's why during church, sometimes people just be like, oh my goodness, I really heard God today. Because you were really sitting listening.
You were listening. Like, yeah.
If you were looking at your phone, you probably didn't hear him because you were distracted. So that's interesting. So outside of just like writing the book and sitting and talking to him, what was the next challenging part for you?
Moving. I wouldn't say the moving part was challenging. It was the cutting people off part.
Gotcha.
That was challenging. Not being able to hang out with the people I was hanging out with, not being able to go to the places I was used to going to. Basically a whole 180. Yeah, that was the hardest part, definitely. And then being able to see the way that God was changing my life. And then I honestly was able to hurt for the people that I used to hang out with. Because, once you get a clearer vision and a clearer sight from God, then you can see people more clearly. Yeah. And it actually started hurting me. Like, we was out here really hurting, but we was having fun hurting. Yeah. And now I'm able to pray for those people because, we was hurting. But we was having fun. We was having fun hurting.
Yeah, we're just out here trying to survive. Just trying to do the best we can with the best that we have.
Literally. That
is so interesting. And you saying that, I remember listening to a sermon on my walk. And I'm paraphrasing because I'm trying to remember as I think. But PMJ was saying how we have to go back and apologize to some people because they met you in the wrong season.
My God.
Like, they really met you in the wrong season. Like, you met me in a season where you thought you could play with me. You met me in a season where you thought...
Where you could play with me.
Right.
You were able to play with me.
So I'm coming back to apologize, not for what I did, but I'm sorry that you met me in the wrong season, but this is who I am now. Mm-hmm. And you have to address me and handle me as such. If you choose not to, then...
You got to move around.
You're about to be a part of this next change. This change is coming.
Because that is so true. Like... In a certain season, like you said, we're one person, and then we move, we change, we repent, and we're a whole different person. Like, you can't treat me like you used to. You can't talk to me when you want to. Yeah. Like, you have to treat me as the new me.
Yeah. Accordingly. Girl, that is so good. That is so good. So, on my walk this morning, I was thinking of the topic change, as well as... It was interesting because my thought process was, so some people may know that I used to model for, I'll say maybe about 10 years. I don't feel like doing the math right now. But about 10 years, I used to model. And I used to tell people all the time that I hated modeling. I was like, modeling created a monster, this, that, and the other. But let somebody ask me today, do I want to do a fashion show or do I want to take some pictures? If it aligns with where God has me, then I'm open to doing it. Okay. And so there comes a time when, yes, people do change. They do a full 180. So you go from, I don't know, scamming people to now being a pastor, or you go from, being the hot shot on the streets to now being, I don't know, a leader in some big, nice nonprofit organization. But I also think there's seasons of change where you can still continue, not necessarily doing what you were doing, but staying in that same industry, but with a different mindset of the industry. Yeah. So what would be, I guess, your take on that?
Okay. What were we talking about that time in Birmingham where I was saying you can be... Okay, got it. Okay. So what I was telling you that time, 2 years, actually about a year apart, I went into this party and I met I saw this guy that I had some dealings with before. This first year, I saw him and everything came back. Like all the feelings, all the memories, all the fun we used to have, all of that came back. And my boyfriend at the time was there with me. And he told me, he said, I could see the life drain out of you. Yeah. Like when they came and when you noticed that they were there. The people that I used to hang out with. And he said, like, your whole demeanor changed. You didn't want to dance anymore. You weren't smiling anymore. And a year later, those same people came to the party, same party, type of party. And my boyfriend was still there with me. And I still danced. I still smiled. I had fun. And I asked him, I was like, do you notice something? He was like, what? I said, I'm having fun. I was like, and they're here. And not that the situation changed. It was the exact same situation. And if I'm being honest, it was worse the second time. Because there were more people that I had dealings with in the same building. And no feelings came back. Because mentally, I was in a completely different space. So me seeing you, I mean, it didn't come back like that because my headspace was different. I wasn't the same person as we were just talking about. So it really didn't affect me the same way. So there is a thing as being in the exact same place, exact same situation, and having a total different mindset. Yeah. That was good.
Yeah. Change it's not as hard as people make it out to be. I think it just takes an intentional and willing mind to do it. Just when you make up in your mind that you're going to change, I'm gonna be totally transparent with you, baby. That first, you know how up a roller coaster, that first drop, that first drop is gonna be very uncomfortable. But when you're open to receiving all that change brings, it's so fulfilling. Like you get out of it, honestly, what you put into it.
Yeah. So I think even in the beginning of one of my chapters, I quoted Metcalf at Transformation Church. He said change isn't hard, it's just different. Yeah. Like everybody's not going to change. Everybody doesn't want to change. So for us to want to change, it's not as, like you said, it's not as hard as we make it seem, but it is different, which makes it a little more difficult because everybody's not going to accept your change. Right. Everybody's not happy that you're changing. So for you to have to make that decision to change, that makes it hard.
Yeah. Very uncomfortable. Ooh. Yeah, change is uncomfortable. I mean, just think about when you get ready, like you say, moving. When you have to move from not just one house to the next, but when you're moving from one state to another state, you have to meet new people. You have to learn a new environment. Like change is really uncomfortable.
It was.
But it works out, like it sticks out. It works for your good when, again, you're intentional about it.
Yeah. And if I'm being honest, I was the happiest, like when I moved here, because I wasn't around people that could enable me. It was nobody but me and God over here. And I hate that me and you weren't as close, as we are now when I was actually over here, but it might have been for the best. But yeah, it was me and him. Yeah. We was locked in. Yeah. And thankfully, since I moved back, I ain't been back in no trouble or nothing. Yeah. But I just felt like isolation was necessary. Like that's necessary for some certain stages to where, it needs to be just you and him. Yeah. Because anything else, you don't know where it might take you.
Yeah. So. And then you start to rely on that. Yeah. So it's more so like, I don't need you. I can just go to this person.
Definitely. And making them a god.
Yeah. That's not how change is supposed to be. Y'all heard that country come out. That ain't. Okay. But that's not how change is, especially intentional change, is going to give you the fruits that you're longing for.
And the thing I love about an intentional change is God shows you what you need to be focusing on. Like, he gives you discernment. Because once you start moving in his way, he'll show you, okay, I'm putting them before you. Like, I need to stop doing this. I need to stop doing that. And I love that about him, that he loves us enough to not necessarily yank us or pull us all the time. Girl. Not yank us or pull us all the time, but to necessarily just kind of like whisper in your ear, you know, you're not supposed to be doing it. You know, you're not supposed to be going there. And makes us at least think about our decisions and make us change.
And that's how you learn. You have to think through it. So the next time that you're presented with this, you go back to, one, remembering what you did to get out of it or how God assisted you out of it. But that just helps you the next time that you're going through a trial or tribulation. It's just like, okay, God brought me out of this before. He's going to do it again. Yeah. And you learn that as you go through the process of change. Now, I do got to touch on the whole yanking part, because I feel like me... Yeah, again, this podcast is called The Middle Child. I feel like sometimes God just be like, Royal, come on, just because you just come on. Just
I intentionally said yank.
Yeah. Because we was having that conversation. He'd be like, Royal, let me just take you wherever you need to go. Because I be having those seasons of where I want what's best. I want to move. I want to go forward. I know what he's done. But it just be like, I don't know
You're
how.
not going to take the step.
Yeah. Or I'm just so skeptical of where the step is supposed to be. Where it's just like, I'm overanalyzing it.
To the fact where you're not moving at all.
Yeah. And so now he's just like, well, okay, at least she's trying. Let's just, come on, girl.
Let me help you out.
Right. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So yeah, that is so good. So is there another, I guess, chapter in your book or about your book where it talks about change or anything along those lines? Helping people walk through the change, something that can relate to change?
Yes. There's one chapter in there about the anti-drift. And that came from Michael Todd as well. Where he was saying that it doesn't happen quickly. Like, it happens over a long period of time to the fact where you don't even notice that you're drifting. So, and once you actually realize it, you in the deep. Like, you out there. You in the middle of the ocean by the time you realize that you've been drifting the whole time. So, to get out of the deep, you have to make a change. You have to make the decision to get back to the shore, to get back to safety, to get back to the comfort of God. And yeah, that's in there. It's maybe in the deep or something.
Baby, definitely in the deep. It's one thing to be in the deep with God, but it's a whole different thing to be in the deep without him.
By yourself. You just out there. Ain't got no plank, ain't got no nothing. You just you out there struggling.
With all the sharks and everything.
Yeah, the whales.
What's the little Jaws music playing around you? Girl, it's just, you just out there just, oh God, it's hurt. Please, please, please. Yeah, the anti-drift is different. I thought you was going somewhere different with that, but I see where you're going. Because I ain't gonna lie, one of my favorite, I think, sermons that Pastor Michael Todd talked about was when he was talking about bamboos, like bamboo trees, of how like things are gonna accelerate. Yeah, and I feel like with my walk with Christ, especially earlier years, that's how I saw it. So if it wasn't popping up, I was just like, okay, well, this ain't him. Like,
right, it's not moving fast.
Yeah, it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. So maybe like he didn't call me to do this. But again, it goes back to trusting his timing. Yeah. Because again, like I told y'all earlier, I was not about to do this podcast until the second part of the year. And to be honest, I probably wasn't going to record the first episode until after the 4th of July. And I was probably going to drag my feet with getting it edited. But things just started to fall into place when I literally was like, here's my life. I trust your time and order my steps. What is it that you want me to do? And even in a season of where I'm still healing, I'm still going through things, life is really changing. He was like, all right, cool. Like, let's record this podcast. And I'm just like,
yeah. I know when you told me change, and I sat down this morning and I was like, what can I say about change? And he told me change is critical. And let me find the definition of critical because it was so important to me. And the way he brought it to me was crazy. And then I had to stop doing it and doing something else. I was like, okay, God, bring it back. So the definition of critical that I found that I liked the most was having a decisive or crucial importance in the success, failure, or existence of something. So your decision to change is critical.
Mm-hmm.
Like it either brings you success or it brings you failure.
Yeah.
So if you don't change, you fail.
Mm-hmm.
If you do change, you'll succeed.
Yeah.
So it's critical in our life, not even like with God.
Yeah.
It's critical where you succeed with him or you fail without him. So he also brought me a thing about pregnancy. So my little nursing stuff started tingling when I was talking about that. So, like once you get pregnant, there's an active and a passive.
Mm-hmm.
You either have you go into it with the intention of, okay, we're trying to have a baby. Or it just happens and it's an accidental birth. And that being spiritual, you can go into it as, okay, this chose me. Mm-hmm. I didn't choose it. That would be me personally because I didn't go into ministry. Ministry picked me. Yeah. Like I didn't go into it being like, I want to be a minister. Like I want to preach. I want to be. That wasn't not my plan at all. And also there's the birth part, which you have to go through. It's painful. It must be endured, mm-hmm. but it can also cause death. So many women die giving birth to children or in the laboring process. And then there's the postpartum. So I really had to remember, and now I'm so glad my teacher drilled it into our heads. So there's a thing called the fundus. It's at the top of the uterus. Mm-hmm. So after the child is born, the nurse or the doctor, whoever, has to massage the fundus. The point of doing it is so that they don't get a lot of internal hemorrhaging, which is bleeding, mm-hmm. to get the rest of the stuff out of them. If this does not occur, if nobody massages this fundus, she might die from bleeding. Mm. And that brought to me that there are some things after the birth that you have to get rid of, because if you don't, that will kill you. Yeah. If the birth doesn't kill you, the after part will kill you. Mm-hmm. You got to get rid of grief. You got to get rid of anger. You got to get rid of hate. You got to get rid of all these excess things that even after God takes you to where you're going, if you hold on to these things, it'll cost you death as well.
Y'all heard that? Listen, y'all heard that? Because I'm taking that all in. Because a lot of people don't think about that.
Yeah.
You really don't think about that. You think when you change a situation, you honestly are taking your current self into a new environment.
Absolutely.
So it's a lot of things that have to die off, mm-hmm. in order for you to survive that season. Thinking about the seasons of summer, winter, fall, spring. Mm-hmm. It's just when you're going from summer to fall, the trees, the leaves are all different kind of colors. Yeah. But then when we go from fall to winter, they have to fall off, die, endure that harsh environment, mm-hmm. in order for us to reap the benefits of it in spring. Absolutely. Although the pollen is very intense, but but you still have to reap that growth. Mm-hmm. You're growing something new. So you do go through a season of dying to self, I would even say. And I think that's what that isolation period also helps to do. When it's just you and God, you're literally dying to yourself, because now he has to give you the desires of his heart. Yeah. And then even about the pregnancy thing, once you have that baby, they kind of brought to me the scripture of the pain that you feel right now cannot compare, mm-hmm. to the joy that's coming. So we have to endure the change. We have to endure the pain. We have to endure the labor. We have to endure the birth part to be able to enjoy what comes next. Yeah. And it'd be painful. Girl. It'd be painful. Literally be painful. That's why I go through change, a season of change. I just be like, all right, let's go ahead and hurt this first. Mm-hmm. However long. I already know it's gonna hurt. Let's just go ahead and and not necessarily get it out the way, but let's go ahead and feel through this.
Yeah.
Because the longer you try not to feel it, the longer it's going to linger. Yeah. Even if it doesn't linger, it's going to come back up when you're probably in one of the most peaks of your life. And then that little child comes back, the little child that wasn't healed, that little child that is still looking for whatever they're looking for, that person is going to enter in, and then now here we are in a debacle.
Yes, I wish people would talk more about that child that always shows back up. The pain that child endured. If you don't heal that child always coming back.
Yes, always.
At the most inopportune time.
Yes. And coming in like a little child, just nagging.
Yes, like, what are you doing? Like, sit down.
Where did you come from?
Crying and hollering and stuff.
Crying. Because Lil Roy be crying.
Lil Kiki do too. Girl, she be so sad.
Crying. Is either crying or mad.
Triggers.
Triggers. That's what we should have did in the conversation on triggers. I probably would have got triggered doing it. So as you guys can see, change is just so detrimental to your journey of life.
Yeah.
Whatever journey that is for you, it's just change is detrimental. Whether if you want to become better, cool. If you want to stay on the path that you're on, there still is going to come a time where you have to change. You have to go from being, the mentee to the mentor. And so, change is very detrimental. So before we end, are there any last words of encouragement that you would like to give the people?
Don't stop. Just don't stop in the middle. Don't stop in the transition. Don't stop in the middle of the birth. You have to go through it to be able to enjoy the child, to enjoy what God has for you next. It's going to be painful, but...
It's painful, but it's so rewarding. Yeah, I promise you it's so rewarding. The journey is rewarding. Granted, the fruit is edifying, but the journey is
once you look back,
that's
the best part. And you like, I did that.
Yeah.
Like, I got through that. And then that just makes the next task that, like, it's not as hard. Because you know what it takes now to get through it.
Yeah.
Or at least kind of how it's going to feel going through. So.
Okay. Nice. All right. So before we go, I did forget to ask you this question. With the show being called The Middle Child, are you a middle child?
Absolutely not. No. I'm the last of the bunch.
I am hollering. Okay.
The last of 7.
Nice.
Nowhere near the middle.
Nowhere near in 7. You do actually have a middle one in 7. It's an odd number. Okay. All right, cool. So how can people get in contact with you if they want to purchase your book, if they just kind of want to follow you? Where can they find you?
Mainly on Facebook, Kisonda Bell, Kisonda. Also, I have an Etsy account. It's called Guided by God. Mainly those 2 places. Yeah, and I also have a Facebook, Guided by God, as well. Nice. Thank you guys for joining me with another episode of The Middle Child with my guest, Kisonda Bell. Again, author, motivational speaker, my friend, my sister. And until next time, I love you. You're appreciated. You're seen here with The Middle Child Podcast. Have a good night. Bye, guys.